they talking real loud. Spreading on lies, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules. In this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading on lies, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules. In this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading on lies, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules. In this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream.
All right. Hello, Grand Rising, everyone. Thanks for tuning in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Also, don't forget to double check and make sure that you're still subscribed to the channel, especially if you haven't been receiving those notifications. All right, so hello, Danny, Joe, Claudette, Starseed, Oracle, Buckhorse DC. All right, let's get into it. Yvette, Soul Sister, Reggie. Okay, we the people. 504 NOLA is in the virtual building. All right, above all that drama, shout out to Cherokee to Citadel. I see you, beloved Emperor Rex. Shout out to all of my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen. And a big shout out to my moderators because y'all know they be putting in work. I see you, Mr. Elevation, Lillian X, Deronda, Dangerous. Okay, Desmond. All right, so let's get ready to get into it. You all, my right eye is bothering me this morning. I woke up and it was irritated. It's red. It hurts. I put drops in it, but it's still bothering me. So bear with me. Okay? Bear with me. So with that all being said, let's have a brief word from our sponsor at 12 Tribes, and then we're going to get into the receipts.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. And don't forget that she sells beard oil. Okay, so let's get into it because they say that Trump needs to surrender. They say that the president needs to surrender. So let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen and go to some of these posts. Y'all see this? Advisor to Iran's Galabaf. Trump has about 20 hours to either surrender to Iran or his allies will return to the Stone Age. We will not back down. Do y'all hear that? They said they will not back down, honey. All of that tough talk that Trump is doing, it's not getting him anywhere. Nobody takes him serious. We all should know that he's a coward and a liar who lies. And the things that he says doesn't mean, it doesn't scare anybody. Oh, okay. Thank you, Ashkan. He said that Galabov means rug weaver. Thank you. Okay, so now with that all being said, I find it all interesting, Trump. I find it all interesting, but hold on. Let me tell you all something. I want you all to pay attention because Trump is desperate. How do you know that he's not winning this war? How do you know for a fact, even if you were doubting it? It's because only the loser would be begging for a 45-day ceasefire. Why in the hell in the middle of a war do you need 45 days? Well, that's right. So you can regroup and then come back. You need to take a time out to get yourself together. Okay? I wouldn't give him a ceasefire either. Either the war ends or we keep going. Period. I'm not going to give you a chance to sit there and go and regroup and come back. That's what they did last June. Took an 8-month break and then came back with more BS. Not to mention, here's the thing. Not to mention how Trump talks too much, and which I absolutely love when he does. He sat there and told us all with his stupid self that he was supplying guns to the Iranian protesters. Okay, he's sending guns over there, but at the same time trying to pretend that he needs to go over there and change regime because they're being so mean to the protesters and killing all these thousands and thousands and all of that. And each time the number kept changing. It was 30,000, then it was 45,000, then it was 20,000, then it was 10,000. Okay, please. The lies. Okay, the lies. I told you all that it was probably more likely around 3,000. But these people were armed. So it's not like the police were just shooting at peaceful protesters. These are people out there with guns given to them through the turds. And I find it all interesting. Okay, I find it all interesting. He is so stupid. He is absolutely a whole idiot. And here's the thing. At the end of the day, Trump was supposed to get congressional approval to perform a covert action, which he didn't do. Okay, which he didn't do because he didn't even do it to start this war. Okay, let me just continue because I'm going in on him today. And Keg's breath. Wait do y'all see what I got on him? This is all crazy. Okay, now here's another post that says, Mahdi Mohammadi, strategic advisor to Iranian parliament speaker Mohammad Baghar Galabaf, said Monday that Iran has clearly and overtly won the war and will only accept terms that consolidate its gains and create a security regime in the region. Okay, on Trump's 48-hour ultimatum to Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz, Mohammadi wrote, "It is Trump who has about 20 hours to either surrender to Iran or his allies will return to the Stone Age." They put the words right back on him. How ignorant does he sound talking about bombing them back to the Stone Age and then calling them animals yesterday? Yeah, he has a whole lot of nerve. He's the animal. But here's the thing. This is how you know that they're down bad. Because the Pentagon, because trust me, I was up waiting for the briefing, but no, there is no briefing because the Pentagon has canceled a press briefing scheduled for Tuesday at 8 a.m. with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Joint Chiefs Chairman General Dan Kane. AI Monitor reports. Listen, wait till you all see how they were talking to Hegseth and General Kane. It was absolutely hilarious. I loved every minute of it. Now, the cancellation comes hours before Trump's 8 p.m. deadline for Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz or face expanded strikes on power plants and bridges. It's not looking good for him. Ashkan said he's going to destroy civilization today. Yeah, that's what he said. We'll see about that. Trump is just all talk. I'm willing to bet that if things don't go his way, which I know they won't, because Iran's not backing down, I'm willing to bet that, in fact, Trump will extend the deadline. Okay, I'm willing to bet that he will absolutely extend the deadline. All that tough talk, he needs to sit down somewhere. Nobody's scared, Trump. Okay, please. Who's scared of an orange taco? Officials tell Axios that President Trump may hold off on tomorrow's strikes. Wait a second. This can't be true. Hold on. That Trump might hold off on tomorrow's strikes against civilian infrastructure in Iran and extend the deadline for negotiations, but only if he sees a deal is coming together. While a defense official said, and they were skeptical there would be any extension this time for Iran. Of course there'll be an extension. Trump's all talk and just full of BS. I can't even believe that's what it said. I am so done. Yeah, he's a whole orange taco. He needs to sit down somewhere. Okay, at the end of the day. Now let's continue because clearly Iran has been mocking him, and I'm here for all of it. Okay, I'm here for all of it. I absolutely cannot believe myself. Okay, now look, this is from the Iran embassy. It says 8 p.m. is not that good. Could you change it to between 1 and 2 p.m. or, if possible, 1 and 2 a.m.? Thank you for your attention to this important matter. IEZ. You see how they're mocking Trump's stupid self? Okay, after he said 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, like sit down somewhere. They take him as a joke. Okay, they take him as a joke. They don't even take this fool seriously. Please. Okay? This is all hilarious. But let's continue because there's more where that came from. And so anyway, they say sirens now in Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE as ballistic missiles and one-way attack drones continue to be launched at the Gulf nations by Iran. Okay, they're not backing down. They're not backing down. And then they hit the Jebel industrial city from the air. Let me show you the picture of it beforehand. That's in Saudi Arabia. And that's what the Saudis get for sitting there dancing with Bibi's people, okay, partying it up like they were having such a good time. Okay, what do they think about this? That's how it was looking beforehand. Now let me pull up the video where it's all lit up on fire. This is all nefarious. Let me share my screen. That's it now. Okay. Now, also, let's not forget how I told you all that Trump was just a liar who lies. Okay, when he was talking about the amount of protesters. talking about they killed all these tens of thousands of protesters. I mean, a lie doesn't care who tells it. Now, as you can see, it says, then Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei said in a rare acknowledgement on January 17th that several thousands of people were killed in the protest after days of official hedging on casualty numbers as bodies piled up. However, Khamenei blamed the deaths not on Iranian forces, but on U.S. and Israel-backed groups that he said had hijacked the economic protests. That's exactly what they did. Okay, they had Mossad over there, okay, out there in the protest. That's what they did. And they likely had the CIA out there too. I find it all interesting. I find it all interesting. Hold on, beloveds. And here's the accurate amount of protesters. Okay, Trump just lied so much. Here's the accurate amount right here. Let me pull this up. As you can see, it says Iran says 3,117 killed in recent protests, issuing lower death toll than human rights activists. Okay, that's how many it was. Trump is such a liar. And not to mention, he was the one giving them guns. I mean, of all the nerve. But I want you all to pay attention because, like I said, what he did is, in fact, you know, he was supposed to get congressional approval because here's the thing. I want you to think about how this is a covert action. First of all, under the National Security Act of 1947, covert actions are defined as activities to influence political, economic, or military conditions abroad, where the U.S. government's role is not intended to be publicly acknowledged. See, he wasn't supposed to say anything, but he couldn't help but gloat and brag, as usual. This is what malignant narcissists do. These actions require a written presidential finding detailing the justification and agencies involved. Okay, and that written finding is supposed to go before Congress, which it did not, and he didn't write down any darn thing. He just did what he wanted to do. You see, the reason this is covert is because Trump was sitting down having supposed negotiation talks with Iran. But at the same time he's having these talks, he was silently behind closed doors in the dark of night, having weapons shipped to the Kurds, and then having the Kurds, you know, give those guns to the protesters. Now, he says that he doesn't think they gave the weapons to the protesters, but, you know, they likely did. And even if they didn't, you've now given the Kurds guns, you idiot. And also, that reminds me, this is likely why Trump was trying to invite the Kurds to join in the fight against Iran. Okay? Remember that? When he was saying, wouldn't it be great if the Kurds got involved and the Kurds started fighting? Sit your silly self down somewhere, Trump. Okay? He's a whole idiot. And then here's my next thing I want to mention. His son-in-law. That's right, soul sister. This regime can't be trusted. Okay, the Third Reich. That's who they are. Now, Robert Reich posted this. Trump and Kushner have billions in business with the Saudis. Eric and Don Jr. are backing a drone manufacturing DoD contractor. Hegseth's broker tried to invest millions in defense stocks prior to U.S. strikes. Trump's inner circle profits from war while everyone else pays the price. Didn't I tell you all that days ago when I told you how he put all that money from the oil, the sale of the Venezuelan oil, over $1 billion, allegedly, into a private account for himself? How does he just get to do that? I mean, where is Congress when you need them? Is there no sort of oversight? Does he just get to do whatever he wants willy-nilly? Well, it certainly seems that way. It certainly seems that way. I have several questions. Okay, I have several questions. Now, here's a report from Tehran from 3 hours ago. Here we go.
Multiple strikes here in Tehran and across Iran during the course of the night, and we expect that they may build in intensity should there not be some kind of deal that's agreed. This is, of course, an incredibly consequential day for this country. President Trump has given until late this evening in order for some kind of deal to be agreed between the Americans and the Iranians. But at this point, it doesn't seem entirely optimistic. Both the Iranians and the Americans have put their proposals to the Pakistanis, who are the joint mediators in this. Neither seems to have approved the others, and critical for the US is to get the Strait of Hormuz reopened. Obviously, that is very strategically important for the Iranians, and they don't want to do that without absolute guarantees. The real concern for the Iranians is that there would be a temporary ceasefire and then a return to war, and they would have lost the power that they hold over the Strait of Hormuz. In terms of what America has said would happen, when President Trump has spent the past days with some really inflammatory statements on social media and in press conferences saying that if there is not a deal reached, what will happen to this country will be like the unleashing of hell, saying that by the end of it, there will neither be a bridge nor a power plant standing. Now, of course, to attack civilian infrastructure is a war crime. There has been very little outrage about his words, but there are definite efforts to try and rein in what could happen over the coming hours. There have been multiple.
Now let's go to this clip of him dragging AOC. And by the way, he's threatening to have another journalist arrested. We'll get into that in a second.
Some of the stupid people, like, AOC plus 3, all that group, they talk about, freedom for Iran. They don't tell you the real facts. Women, men, gays. How about gays for Iran? They kill the gays. They throw them off buildings. So I wonder what's going on. I can only say this. They want us to keep bombing, even if it jeopardizes, because their life is in much greater danger. They want freedom for Iran, but it's very hard for them to protest. I actually tell them, I said, don't go out. I fully understand. It's amazing when I see some of the stupid people, like, AOC plus 3, all that.
I want you all to pay attention to how he's sitting up here lying. He said they want to keep protesting. I tell them, don't go out. I'm sorry, wasn't he the same person that said that he was telling them to get out there and take back their government? Do you all hear how this man just lies so much and constantly, just tells on himself because he's so stupid? He says one thing and then turns around and says the opposite. Now he's telling them to stay home, don't go out there. But before you were telling them go out there and overturn the government, Trump, sit down somewhere with your stupid self. He makes no sense. Now listen to this. This is a report from Politico. Trump threatens to jail journalists who reported on crew's rescue in Iran. If they don't reveal the source. Well, why is he threatening to jail them for simply reporting the news? I mean, didn't they, after all, conduct a successful ground search for the pilot and they found him and it was so heroic and all of their efforts, they all deserve medals, right? Isn't that how they've been talking? So why would he not want anyone to speak about it or to report on it? Okay, President Donald Trump on Monday threatened to find and jail the journalist who first reported on that a U.S. troop was awaiting rescue after his plane was shot down in Iran last week, unless the journalists reveal their source. Speaking from the White House, Trump said a leak told an unidentified reporter that while one pilot had been rescued shortly after an A-15 fighter jet crashed in Iran on Friday, a second officer had not yet been found. Multiple news organizations had reported on the crash, and Trump on Monday vowed to find the leaker. Was it Hegseth? I mean, because he's the one that's usually leaking security details, is he not? Y'all remember Chatgate? Okay, we're going to go to the media company that released it, and we're going to say, national security, give it up or go to jail. This is what he said. He thinks he makes sense. He added that the person who shared the information is a sick person. Trump, who's sicker than you? Two crew members of the F-15E Strike Eagle had self-ejected from the cockpit on Friday after Iranian military forces struck their plane. Though the pilot was quickly rescued, the weapons systems officer was not immediately found, and a large-scale rescue mission began. When the officer was finally found, Trump says he was injured quite badly and was bleeding rather profusely. Please pay attention. This is all important because on yesterday, did they not say that this poor man walked 110 miles? Okay. Didn't they say that? Didn't they say that? It reminds me of that song, and Trump probably was listening to that song because they've been reporting that Trump's been walking through the White House. This is how you know he's a deranged lunatic, clearly. They said that he's been walking through the White House blasting, God bless America. Yeah, so he was probably blasting that song. Y'all know that song that goes, I would walk 1,000 miles. Yeah, I think that's what he was listening to when he told that lie, because make it make sense. The man's badly injured and bleeding profusely and had treated his own wounds before contacting American forces to transmit its location. He was his rescue involved a 155 aircraft, including 4 bombers, 64 fighters, 48 refueling tankers, and 13 rescue aircraft. Trump called both rescues extraordinary, but added that we're working very hard to find that leaker. They basically said that we have one and there's somebody missing. The media, he added, didn't know anyone was missing until the unidentified leaker provided the information. I think anybody would understand that they put that rescue mission in great risk. While many states and Washington have shield laws in place to protect journalist sources, no federal protections exist. The government may try to compel reporters to disclose their sources if the reported information is deemed vital to national security. Well, you know, if they're not doing anything about Trump running his mouth, okay, please. If they didn't do anything about him running his mouth, I don't see why they'd be worried about this journalist. Okay, but let's continue. And speaking of Trump running his mouth, let's go to this video. I got a few TikTokers videos so we can see what they're saying about this clown running his mouth and admitting to his covert actions. Okay, this is all hilarious.
So much about, especially in the Western world, just a couple of months ago. You know how the numbers were inflated compared to the Iranian sources, that 20,000, 30, 40,000 people were apparently taken out. You know how there was an outcry in the Western world that the Iranian government would do such a thing? Well, in the last 24 hours, Donald Trump, US president, admitted that the American government had armed Iranian opposition groups in the country during the mass anti-government protests. Armed them, with pew-pews, right, weapons, to take out fellow Iranians. Do you remember back at the time of the protests, which I covered, I made
I find that all interesting. Hold on. I didn't mean to click off of that. Hold on. I'm multitasking, beloveds. Hold on just a second. Not uphill with 2 broken legs in the snow. I am done.
that there was armed individuals taking out civilians, taking out security forces in the country at the time of the protest. And Iran's accusation was that this is foreign-backed. It's a foreign attempt by the United States and Israel to destabilize and hopefully collapse the Iranian administration from the inside out, right? And if security forces shoot and take out armed rioters, that is not the same thing as security forces just shooting and taking out random civilians, is it? It's very different. But that's the narrative you were shown by the Western media, that the Iranian state is just taking out civilians. Do you remember? The Western media was like, wow, the Iranian administration, axis of evil, bro. They're so bad, bro. Taking out their own civilians, bro. Not cool, bro. Not cool. Not cool. I don't know what accent that is. Let's just stop it. They're so bad. That was the framing, right? Well, now here you go. Al Jazeera. Oh, okay, fine. Al Jazeera. Fox News even of all sources, has confirmed that the US reported themselves that the US was directly involved in efforts to destabilize and overthrow the Iranian government during the protests. So the Iranian state shot and likely took out Iranians that were turned from civilian protesters into foreign-backed armed rioters, maybe killers. I want to remind the people, because I mentioned this before in previous videos, but I want to give you the full package, the full context, so that you can take it to your friends, your mates, and you can give them the whole setup, and they can be like, damn, that's didn't see it like that. I wasn't informed of the situation from that perspective. I watch Sky News, I drink BBC Kool-Aid, and you know they've got their journalism, they've got their investigative teams and all that. But bruv, it's spun up. I didn't hear that. Why didn't I hear that? Some random guy in London told me a perspective that a multi-billion-dollar industry did not tell me. This is why I want to give you the full package, right? The US Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, or Scott Bessent, whatever, is also on video already admitting that money owed to Iran was withheld by the US, wielding their significant global financial system control. They withheld money at a key time, which caused an Iranian bank to collapse, which plummeted the value of the rial, their currency, and led to mass hardship of the civilians. Their savings were wiped out, their investments were wiped out. People can't buy stuff, they can't sell stuff. It was an absolute mess, and many civilians came out into the streets at the time to protest. And Scott Bessent in the US made this clear. Reports from a wide variety of sources then suggested that this was done by the US to trigger protests that the US could then hijack, could then weaponize to use to overthrow the Iranian government. They
Do you all hear this? Do you hear how diabolical these devils are? This is what they did. They are the ones that incited the protests. But not only that, they then funded or sent the weapons to the protesters. They sowed the seeds of discord. But isn't that what the U.S. is always doing? Isn't that what I've told you for years is their biggest strategy? To divide and conquer? That's how they stay in charge. But not this time, devils.
tried and they failed, for better or worse. So the protests themselves were triggered by the US. We know that now. The US is saying that, has said that. And then some protesters were armed by the US during the protests they created. And when those protesters, foreign armed rioters at that point, or killers at that point, when those were taken out by the Iranian security forces, the US portrayed that as a dangerous government in Tehran, taking out their own people. And still, after all the effort of, trying to create regime change from the inside out, when that failed and the government cut off internet access to try and sever communications with foreign agents trying to coordinate inside the country, when all of that failed, they went in from the outside for regime change attempted. That's the current war on Iran. That's how it's going on. So they tried from the inside. They caused the protests. They armed the protesters, turned them into rioters, turned them into killers, then demonized the administration for trying to reestablish control over their own nation. When the administration stabilized it, they came in from the outside as a war, like a conventional conflict.
And then all this time acting as though he's coming there to solve the problem. Okay, he's starts the mess, and then acts like he's coming there to clean it up. This is what they do. This is what they do. Trump and Netanyahu.
So now we can look back at the Iranian state claims and see that actually, at least some of them are true. Now, I want to know which groups, which nations are actually spitting facts and which ones are just dropping propaganda left, right, and center, and they can never be verified to be factual. Well, some statements from the Iranian state appear to be true. The Iranian state said, we shut off the internet because outside forces were trying to call in. They were trying to communicate, coordinate people inside Iran to try and overthrow the government, and they were armed by the outside agents that were calling in. That appears to be true. That appears to be credible now. According even to US sources, the Iranian state said the foreign actors are arming Iranians, turning them essentially from civilians into foreign-backed militia. That also appears to be true. Fox News reported it. Because America is admitting it, and the other side obviously has always been claiming it, this is now aligned, and you can treat that as a fact. Trump literally said, we sent guns to the protesters. A lot of them. We sent guns to the protesters. A lot of them. That's what he said, and that's how he said it, probably, because I do a decent Trump impersonation now, I'm told. And Trump said to an official, as reported on Fox News, in the last 48 hours, he said, we sent them to the Kurds. And then he said that he thinks the Kurds kept the weapons afterwards. Well, yeah. Have you ever sent anyone any arms? And, after things didn't pan out the way they wanted, they just handed them back. Here's your Kalashnikovs back. No, that's not how it works. Anyway, I thought I'd just drop this piece of news for your consideration.
Okay. But that all being said, let's go to the next clip with another TikToker dragging Trump. Okay. I absolutely love it.
The one thing that I really like about President Trump is that sometimes he doesn't know when to shut up and he just says the quiet part out loud. Like, how the US government was justifying war on Iran by claiming that their government was violently cracking down on peaceful protesters? Well, this week, Donald Trump admitted to reporters that he had been arming those protesters by shipping them, quote, a lot of guns. So it wasn't just that the Iranian government was targeting peaceful civilian protesters, they were suppressing armed insurgents who had been given weapons by the US and Israel. Which seems like a pretty important part of this story that Western mainstream media outlets like NPR had just been completely leaving out, even though there was plenty of evidence for this even before Trump admitted it openly. And it's times like this where hardcore American imperialists have got to be like, damn it, Trump, you weren't supposed to tell them that. It's the kind of thing that Barack Obama would have done covertly and then denied to his grave. But with Trump, he's just such a bumbling idiot, he can't even help himself. It's like, I sent them guns, aren't I great? And personally, I think this is the one great thing that Trump is doing. He's revealing how the US empire funds extremist groups all across the Middle East in order to push for their own interests, condemning foreign governments as dictatorships if they crack down on those extremists. Man, what a mess this war in Iran has turned out to be for the American empire.
Absolutely. Okay. Ashkan says there was a shootout in Istanbul outside of Izzy's consulate. Really? I'm going to have to look into that. Let's go to this report about the Saudi prince. Now, here's the thing that I also find so hypocritical about the United States. Even though Trump knows darn well that he and Bibi started that whole protest over there, turned those people into rioters, sent guns and all that stuff, he was trying to act as though Iran just, is out there killing their own people. Well, the U.S. can't talk because, like I keep reminding people, they are the same ones who bombed their own people, i.e. Black people. They bombed the people in Tulsa, Oklahoma, literally bombed them. They bombed the Black people in Philadelphia in 1985. It was not even that long ago. So who are they to ever speak? Who are they to act as though they have some moral high ground to try to demonize another nation for how they do their own people? They are not the ones to talk. Look at how they murder Black people in the streets. They allow law enforcement to murder unarmed Black people who clearly posed no imminent threat. Okay, they should not ever speak to anyone about anything as it pertains to human rights violations. Please.
Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince and Prime Minister Mohammed bin Salman appears to be entering one of the most sensitive moments of the current regional crisis. As fresh reporting suggests, Riyadh is increasingly uneasy with how President Donald Trump's administration is handling the widening confrontation with Iran. Donald Trump is currently serving as the 45th and 47th president of the United States, while Mohammed bin Salman remains Saudi Arabia's crown prince and prime minister and is widely seen as the kingdom's de facto leader. Recent reporting from major outlets, including the Financial Times and a widely circulated Times of India report tied to the headline you shared, points to growing Saudi frustration with Washington's recent decisions and rhetoric during the ongoing U.S.-Iran confrontation. Reuters reporting over the past week also shows Saudi Arabia balancing two urgent priorities at once, protecting its own territory from spillover and avoiding a wider regional rupture that could destabilize oil markets, Gulf security.
Okay, with that all being said, Queen of Her King, thank you for your contribution to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Now, let me just say this before I go to the next clip. It has come to my attention, and I want you all to listen to this. So it has come to my attention that the piece of ish named Netanyahu, he got busted trying to commit a false flag. Okay, Turkish sources report that the terrorist who attacked near the Israeli consulate general in Istanbul was an Afghan national and a Mossad agent. Do y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this? An Afghan national and a Mossad agent. Yep, that's what they said. Okay, they say Bibi's people attempted to carry out a false flag operation to target Turkey, according to initial unverified reports. Okay, do y'all hear this? I find it all so interesting. I find it all so interesting. Hold on. Let me just share this clip. Let me just share this clip. These people are something else, okay? Something else. Here's the report right here. Look at Netanyahu's low-down self. See the guy up there? Look at that. I find it all interesting. This is clearly what Ashkan was talking about. I didn't even realize that. I just saw Netanyahu trying to do a false flag and posted it. This man is the devil incarnate, okay? Him and Trump. But hold on. 3 Mossad agents of Afghan origin were eliminated by Turkish special forces. There they go right there. I don't know if I can show that on ScrewTube. I don't know if they showed them getting shot or not. Okay, but so with that all being said, I find it also interesting. Now here's another clip. You all remember Trump was talking about he was going to go over to Venezuela, and he was so serious. Okay, he literally said he was going over to Venezuela and going to run for president. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. This man is out of his mind. And speaking of that, Dr. Vin Gupta has now said that he believes Trump has dementia. Didn't I tell y'all that months ago? Didn't I tell y'all that months ago? We're going to get into that in just a second. Okay, after I'm done with this, I'll go to Venezuela. Yeah, this is Trump talking.
Of years. Now with Venezuela, and we just so you understand, the people of Venezuela, they say if I ran for president of Venezuela, I'm polling higher than anybody has ever polled in Venezuela. So after I'm finished with this, I can go to Venezuela. I will quickly learn Spanish. It won't take too long. I'm good at language. And I will go to Venezuela. I'm going to run for president. But we're very happy with the president-elect that we have right now, the of years. Now with Venezuela, and we just so you understand.
This idiot said he would run for president of Venezuela? Do they not have rules over there, Trump? You don't have to be a whole resident. You don't have to have lived there or been born there. Please sit down. Here's one of Bibi's people. Listen to this. Interpol arrested 35-year-old Bibi's people from Izzy. Okay, a member of Left Tahor, the world's largest child sexual abuse network in Mexico. More than 160 children were rescued from this pedophile gang. Okay? I find it also interesting. So Epstein's everywhere. Now listen to this devil here. Listen to this devil here. This is absolutely appalling.
החמאס שפרסם הודעה שעונש מוות למחבלים זה לא מוסרי. שמעתם? החמאס שרצח את הילדים שלנו, שטבח בנשים שלנו, שאנס אותם, אמר שחוק עונש מוות למחבלים לא מוסרי. אז אני אומר להם, זה החוק הכי מוסרי.
He's talking about imposing the death penalty on Palestinians. And mind you, they recently passed a law, allegedly, basically so that they will have the death penalty imposed only on Palestinians. We have stripped the Palestinian hostages in our prisons of everything, and now we want to take their lives. That's what it says. Okay, I find it also nefarious.
And power plants. Because, Mr. President, how would it not be a war crime to strike Iran's bridges and power plants?
Because they killed 45,000 people in the last month, more than that. It could be as much as 60. They kill protesters, they're animals. And we have to stop them, and we can't let them have a nuclear weapon. Very simple. They want a nuclear weapon. They've been trying for a long time. I stopped them with the Obama horrible Iran nuclear deal. I stopped them in a lot of different ways.
Mr. President, how would it not
Some low down devil, if you ask me. Okay? Now, listen to this. According to Iran, it says it will only agree to end the ongoing conflict if there is a change in U.S. leadership. Ha! Looks like Iran now wants a change of regime. Please pay attention. Meaning Donald Trump must be removed as the U.S. president before they end the war. It appears Iran's new goal is to achieve a regime change in the U.S. Okay, do you think it's possible? Well, I hope so. They need to get him the hell out of there. But listen to Hegseth. They say this is very dangerous because Hegseth is a religious fanatic. Okay, clearly, this is a terrifying reality check, they say. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth goes on live TV and explicitly frames the Iran war as a Christian crusade. He equates the downed pilot to Jesus, citing Good Friday and a Sunday resurrection. The Pentagon is run by an apocalyptic cult. Absolutely. Okay, what kind of stuff are we
Flown out of
doing here,
Iran
people?
is the frequency transponder. His first message was simple, and it was powerful. He sent a message, God is good. In that moment of isolation and danger, his faith and fighting spirit shone through. You see, shot down on a Friday, Good Friday, hidden in a cave, a crevice, all of Saturday, and rescued on Sunday. Flown out of Iran as the sun was rising on Easter Sunday. A pilot reborn, all home and accounted for, a nation rejoicing. God is good. Despite incoming fire and unforgiving conditions, our troops brought emergency transponder.
I find this all interesting, don't you? I find this absolutely interesting. First of all, did they even really do what they're claiming they did? And here's Trump's spiritual advisor, okay, his former spiritual advisor before Paula White, the grifter. Remember, he was arrested for molesting with an M a 12-year-old girl. Remember when I told you all he got arrested?
Trump's former spiritual advisor has been released from jail after serving just 6 months for molesting a 12-year-old girl. Robert Morris, the 64-year-old founder of Gateway Church, one of the largest megachurches in America, walked out of an Oklahoma jail just after midnight after completing the 6-month jail portion of his plea deal. Morris pleaded guilty last October to 5 counts of indecent acts with a minor. The offenses began on Christmas night in 1982 when Morris was a traveling evangelist staying at the victim's family home. Cindy Clemishire says she was molested over a 4.5-year period, starting when she was just 12. Morris served on Trump's Evangelical Advisory Board during his 2016 campaign and hosted Trump at his church in 2020, where Trump called him a great person with a great reputation. Under his plea deal, Morris received a 10-year suspended sentence, but served only 6 months. He must now register as an offender for life and serve 9.5 years of probation.
He got off easy. And I want you all to pay attention to how many of these MAGA minions, these cult members, are actually PDF files. Let's go to a couple of posts that I did just this morning. Just this morning, okay? Every day there's tons of posts about these devils, and they're always Trumpsters. Here we go right here. Former police chief William Chad Green charged with R-wording a 16-year-old girl who may have been mentally or physically incapacitated. Trumpster. Here's another one. David Miner, 42, of Lubbock, Texas, sentenced to life in prison for placing a loaded gun in a child's mouth. He was engaged in horrific and traumatizing child abuse spanning years. Okay, he shared far-right symbols and a video of MAGA Senator John N. Kennedy. MAGA. Here's another one. This is Pastor David Demenge, 33, from Dominion Church in Little Falls, Minnesota. And he's a Trump supporter who was arrested for the SA of a child after the victim came forward, saying he started abusing her at age 7. He has a corn with a P addiction. These people need to be locked up. Okay, do y'all see it? All these Trumpsters. No wonder they had on t-shirts saying they don't mind, don't care if Trump is a PDF file. Well, we know you don't, because that's what y'all are. Okay, most of you. Now, here's breaking news. China is likely to replace the United States as the global leader. No surprise there, but also it gets worse. France has officially withdrawn all of its gold reserves from the Federal Reserve Bank in New York. All right? Macron silently sold 129 tons of French gold stored in New York and bought an equivalent amount of gold in Europe. France is preparing for the end of the petrodollar. Honey, the petrodollar is done. It is absolute. Look at this. Look at this. Y'all see it? Going in on him. So anyway, oh, hold on. One more clip. I got to show you all the Karen who was going in on a migrant, okay, because she didn't like the way they were speaking. Here she is. Hold on. Listen to this.
And you know what? You know what? Because you're an illegal and you know what? You don't live in Paramount and you're door dashing. You know what? Why are you entitled to be here with an illegal card? Go ahead.
I don't know.
You know what? I'll do that.
Just is homophobic?
No, speak English.
Yeah.
Well, then speak it.
But why?
But why? You know what? You're in Paramount. You know what? Go speak your language back in Mexico. You know what? Exactly. Hey, you're taking away jobs. You think it's funny? Okay. I can get in your face too.
Thank you.
Let me tell you all something. If this Karen had come up in my face that close, she would have definitely gotten a 2-piece and a whole snack. Okay? Why don't these people ever come up to me? I wish a Karen would make my day. MAGA mama takes license plate photo to send ICE of DoorDash driver who's not speaking English. You're taking away our jobs. You're illegal. Why are you entitled to be here with an illegal car? Stupid self. At the end of the day, it's always interesting to me when these devils, these racist and bigoted people come up to foreign people and tell them basically, to speak English. It's my question. When they go to foreign countries to visit, do they speak the language there? Because I'm sure they don't, because MAGA's too ignorant to learn. They can't even speak English clearly and correctly. Okay, they have poor grammar. So I'm quite sure they don't go to foreign countries and speak the language. But does anyone ever walk up to them and demand that because you're in France speak French or because you're in Mexico speak Spanish? Okay, please sit down somewhere. These people are beyond ridiculous. Okay? Beyond ridiculous. This lady's trying to work and do her job and make her money. She's door dashing, and here you come with BS. Okay, let's go to this clip where they say Trump warning Iran, said he will blow them up in the night if there's no deal. Trump, nobody cares what you say. They're not going to give you a deal, and I wouldn't either. Okay? I wouldn't either.
Infrastructure that innocent Iranian citizens need to live, hospitals need to function, schools need, and on and on. The president was asked whether striking those would be punishing 90 million Iranians for the actions of the regime.
They would be willing to suffer that in order to have freedom. And these are people that are living where the bombs are exploding. And when we leave and we're not hitting those areas, they're saying, please come back, come back, come back.
In addition, of course, targeting civilian infrastructure is widely considered to constitute a war crime, though the Pentagon could claim dual use, civilian and military, of some of that infrastructure as a defense. Either way, President Trump also would not say whether the war is winding down. Before President Trump took questions, the majority of the remarks in his news conference were focused on the harrowing, successful, impressive rescue mission of that U.S. airman who was stranded deep inside enemy territory in Iran. The president began by saying his administration is searching for the leaker behind some of the initial reports that an Air Force officer was missing in Iran.
It became a much more difficult operation because a leaker leaked. They put that man at great risk, and they put the hundreds of people that went in looking for him, because everyone now knows that we're going in. The entire country could be taken out in one night, and that night might be tomorrow night. We have a plan, because of the power of our military, where every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock tomorrow night, where every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and never to be used again.
I want to give you the chance to react to that.
Well, it's unpresidential, and it's also un-American to speak in those terms. You know, we've got to be better than other countries, and our military is. It's professional. It's capable. It abides by the rule of law. That's who we are. You know, we're not, we're not the Russians, and we can never be. And it saddens me, and I think it saddens a lot of Americans to watch our president, and he is, the president of the United States, speak in these terms about annihilating another country. We're at war with Iran. I did not agree with what the strategic goal. I actually have not yet seen what the goal here, what he was trying to achieve. And the U.S. military has done well tactically. I think the president so far has failed in this strategically. And now we're in a situation with the Strait of Hormuz closed, 20% of the world's oil. It's driving up costs for the American people. This president said he was going to address those things when he ran for this office a second time. And he has failed. He doesn't seem to be paying attention to any of that.
So he also shared some details. You talk about the U.S. military and then incredible tactical success. Also in this rescue, we saw of those, the fighter pilot and the weapons services officer, just absolutely incredible to think about the training and the performance of the U.S. military. President Trump shared more details about the rescue of the missing American pilot and how he was rescued. Here he is.
Despite the peril, the officer followed his training and climbed into the treacherous mountain terrain and started climbing toward a higher altitude, something they were trained to do in order to evade capture. He scaled cliff faces, bleeding rather profusely, treated his own wounds, and contacted American forces to transmit his location.
Obviously important to note, Senator, that there he very carefully stuck with the script that he had in front of him he was reading. What else are you learning about this incredible rescue?
Well, you got to give a ton of credit to the folks involved in this rescue, which were Air Force Power Rescue Jumpers, PJs, Navy SEALs, Delta Force. This was a big effort. I mean, really a joint force effort to recover these two crewmen, these two airmen. We don't leave anybody behind, like under any circumstance. If you are shot down or you're a soldier on the ground, you're stuck behind enemy lines, you're at risk. You know the United States military is going to do everything it can to rescue you. And that's what we saw here. You know, an incredibly capable team. And in the case of this weapons systems officer, doing what he was trained to do. And I think it's a incredible story of just resilience, but also of the professionalism of our military.
Here on Earth, with the threatened deadline the President of the United States gave Iran yesterday, now exactly.
Okay, we're going to move on. We're going to move on, beloveds, because you have to see this video where they were dragging Keg's breath. Oh, my goodness. I absolutely loved every minute of it. But before we get to that, let's talk about Trump's dementia. Okay, so MS Now medical analyst Dr. Vin Gupta said that President Donald Trump has all the signs of dementia following his Easter message threatening Iran. Do y'all hear this? Okay, do y'all hear this? Let's get into it. Because if you remember, beloveds, didn't I had told y'all, okay, didn't I tell you all months ago that I believe that Trump has frontal temporal dementia? Didn't I tell y'all that? I told you all I thought he had frontal temporal dementia, okay, at the end of the day. And I also think that he's taking that medication called Lakimba, okay, that's used to treat that. Please pay attention. And I believe that's why he had that bruising on his hand. That's likely the injection site. Okay, that's likely the injection site where they insert the IV. Now, that's just my assessment. I can't substantiate that, but I definitely thought it. Okay, so let's hear what Dr. Vin Gupta has to say. So a fresh wave of concern over President Donald Trump's mental health has emerged following an incendiary Easter speech or Easter message that he posted on social media, prompting MS Now medical analyst Dr. Vin Gupta to state that Trump is showing all the signs of dementia. The statement, which included threats tied to the Iran conflict, sparked renewed scrutiny from critics and medical commentators, intensifying an already polarized debate over his fitness in office. Isn't it all so sad? Poor little old Trump going to Shady Pines on a one-way ticket. I've already booked his room, beloveds. Okay, they really didn't want him there, but I had to offer to pay extra, you know, and it cost me about $10,000 more or so for his room because they didn't even want him there. But anyway, let's continue. The controversy followed an Easter Sunday social media post in which Trump wrote, "Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one." Okay, in Iran, there will be nothing like it. Open the effing straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. Yeah, then he tried to mock them with their religion, talking about Allah. Now, the post followed several days in which the president was largely out of public view, fueling speculation about his mental condition. In response to the rumors, the White House's rapid response account stated, "Deranged liberals cook up insane conspiracy theories when the president goes 12 hours without speaking to press. Fear not. President Trump literally never stops working." Please get the hell out of here. Of course he stops working. Okay? All he runs is his mouth. All right? All he runs is his mouth. Now, Dr. Gupta, reacting to President Trump's statements on social media, listed what he described as warning signs, saying erratic, can't finish sentences, often confused, illogical train of thought, word-finding difficulties, developing and worsening gradually over time. Sorry, didn't I Didn't I say that? Not in exactly the same terms, but I said the slurred speech, when he forgets his train of thought, when he calls people by the wrong names, when he called J.D. Vance the president. Okay, or no, it was Kamala Harris. I think he called the president. Okay, so yeah, I noticed all of these things early on. Now, the president is exhibiting all the signs of dementia, he added. Gupta has raised similar concerns in recent months, pointing to what he called a trend line of worsening behavior. He also referenced Trump's family history, noting that his father, well, who knew? His father suffered from dementia later in life, a factor sometimes considered in assessing cognitive risk. Fred Trump died in 1999 from complications linked to Alzheimer's disease. Yeah, Trump, looks like you're not all there, buddy. Questions about Trump's mental fitness have also centered on his repeated references to cognitive exams, as well as his claims to ace every one of them. I scored higher than anyone's ever scored. The best cognitive exam that anyone's ever taken. Please sit down somewhere. Okay, please sit down somewhere. Y'all see this? Y'all know I haven't done my Trump impersonation in about a month or two, but let's continue. Dr. Gupta argued that frequent testing can itself be a signal of concern. This is not the flex he thinks it is, he said, adding that repeated use of Montreal cognitive assessment usually indicates monitoring for impairment. Psychologist John Gardner echoed that viewing, saying that if you're giving it to him 3 times, that means you're not assessing dementia. That means you're monitoring dementia. Do y'all hear this? Okay, and this is another psychologist saying the same thing. Now, Trump's niece, Mary Trump, has also publicly questioned his mental state, saying, I see that same look of confusion. I see that he does not always seem to be oriented to time and place. His short-term memory seems to be deteriorating. I said that months ago. So Trump's remarks have triggered strong reactions across party lines. Former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene criticized the president's rhetoric, writing that he has gone insane and warning that escalation with Iran contradicts prior commitments. She also wrote that Congress should intervene in Trump's madness. Several Democrats, including Yasemin Ansari and Senator Chris Murphy, went further, invoking the 25th Amendment as a potential remedy. Okay, that's what they need to do, even though J.D. Vance is the devil himself as well. Senator Murphy said this is completely, utterly unhinged, while Representative Ansari wrote that the amendment exists for a reason. Please go ahead and take Trump out of office, because I know that would really piss him off, especially after he talked all that trash about Joe Biden, okay, not being fit to stand office. Okay, that would really hurt his little old feelings. You know how these narcissists hate to be criticized or critiqued. Former officials such as Anthony Scaramucci and Miles Taylor also called for the president's removal, citing national security concerns as the Iran conflict rages on. Okay, do y'all hear this? I find it all so juicy. I find it all so juicy. Trump, they want your arse out of there, and rightfully so. Okay, and rightfully so. Nene said they both have dementia. I absolutely believe it. Okay, I absolutely believe it. But Trump's even worse than Biden. In my opinion, the way he was talking all that smack about Biden, he's even worse. Okay, please pay attention. Now, that being said, let's go to this clip where they tell Hegseth, or should I say Hegseth, you're an embarrassment. And then they completely humiliate this man. I want y'all to see how it all went down. I watched this last night and I was crying laughing. Okay, I was literally crying. Let's get into it.
Against want an apolitical military, then it should be the last resort, not the first resort in our country to use them. So to get to the non-theoretical, have you authorized the uniformed military to detain or arrest protesters in Los Angeles?
Senator, I would just start by saying You're
Just-
not a protester if you're throwing concrete
100%.
at law
Arrest those
enforcement
people,
officers.
throw them in the jail, 100%. But what you're doing is something different. Everyone knows this is a political decision, right? So we don't trust that you're using the best interests of the military, certainly, and of democracy on top of that. So have you given the order? That's all I want to know. It's not theoretical. For the U.S. military, not law enforcement. They can arrest all day long. That's the job. Do they have the ability, the uniformed military, to arrest and detain protesters currently today? It's a yes or no thing, authority.
It's sort of amusing the extent to which the speculation is out there. These troops are given very clear orders.
Then what is the order? Then list it out for us.
It's all
Be a
been
man, list it out.
It's all-
Did you authorize them to detain or arrest? That is a fundamental issue of democracy. I'm not trying to be a snot here. I'm just trying to get the actual, did you authorize them to do that?
All of these orders and what they're sent there to do are public. They are
Okay,
there
so
to,
say it. So say it. Yes or no?
I'd like to.
Please, yes or no?
As I've said time and time again through interruption, they're there to protect law enforcement.
Do they have
ICE
the ability
officers
to arrest?
who are trying to do their job,
Okay.
deporting illegals who were allowed in by the previous
So they
administration.
cannot arrest and detain citizens of the United States, the uniformed military.
As
Is
we've
that right?
stated, if necessary, in their own self-defense, they could temporarily detain and
Have
hand
you-
over to ICE. But
have
there's no
you given-
arresting going
have
on.
you-
And you know this better
Have
than
you
you're trying to
authorized
play
the
political
U.S.
games.
military
There's no
to use
arresting
cyber
of U.S.
tools
personnel.
of the U.S. military against members of the protest? Have you authorized U.S. military cyber tools to investigate people participating in these protests? Yes or no?
Certainly in no way that I'd be aware of.
Okay, that's good. I love that answer. That's great. Have you given the order to be able to shoot at unarmed protesters in any way? I'm just asking the question. Don't laugh. Like the whole country. And by the way, my colleagues
What is
across
that
the
based
aisle.
on? What evidence would you
It
have
is
that an
based
order
on
like that has
Donald
ever
Trump
been given?
giving that order to your predecessor, to a Republican Secretary of Defense, who I give a lot of credit to because he didn't accept the order. He had more guts and balls than you because he said, I'm not going to send in the uniformed military to do something that I.
If you're stuck dealing with junk like this and it's taking up space, turning your home into a junkyard, that's where we come in. Just Junk. We take care of.
Look, that's not hearsay. So your poo-pooing of this, it just shows you don't understand who we are as a country, who we are. And all of my colleagues across the aisle, especially the ones that served, should want an apolitical military and not want citizens to be scared of their own military. I love the military. I served alongside my whole life. So I'm worried about you tainting it. Have you given the order? Have you given the order that they can use lethal force against honor? I want the answer to be no. Please tell me it's no. Have you given the order?
Senator, I'd be careful what you read in books and believing it, except for the Bible.
Oh my God. So your former predecessor, I guess that's not enough for you. Okay, on Iran. I don't think there's a debate. There's like a cat fight going on in your own party about whether to go after Iran. Have you commissioned any day after planning? So any force protection, any use of ground troops in Iran, any cost assessments? Because I don't think we doubt what we can do as a country in the attack. It's the day after with Iraq and Afghanistan that so many of us have learned to be so deeply concerned about. Have you authorized day after planning?
As I've said, we have plans for everything, Senator.
Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In response to my colleague from Oklahoma, I believe the Secretary of Defense has just responded last week and admitted that the $1 billion mission that he led against the Houthis, who do not have a navy, has not restored the transit of U.S. flag commercial vessels through the Red Sea, and in fact has resulted in the loss of 2 F-18 Hornets to the tune of $60 million apiece, as well as, I believe the last count was 7 Reaper drones to the tune of another $200 million. You are blowing through money like my fellow cadets and I did in our first Liberty after basic camp. Luckily, I didn't end up with a questionable tattoo. Your failures, Mr. Secretary, since you've taken office has been staggering. You sent classified operational information over Signal to chest thump in front of your wife, who, by the way, has no security clearance, risking service member lives in the process. You blew the $1 billion fight against the Houthis, whom, again, as my colleague says, has no navy, and yet you lost all of those aircraft. You've created such a hostile command environment that no one wants to serve as your chief of staff or work with you in other senior DoD leadership roles. But what we should all be talking about more than all of this is that you have an unjustified, un-American misuse of the military in American cities, pulling resources and attention away from core missions to the detriment of the country, the war fighters, and yes, the war fighting that you claim to love. I don't know if this is because you are too inexperienced and incompetent to understand the real threats facing our country, or if it's because you are just an unqualified yes man who can't tell the president how to keep Americans safe. You are focusing on renaming bases for Confederate generals. You said just now to Senator King that to a man and to a woman, we would rather be associated with the old Confederate names. Well, I am one of those women. I served at Fort Rucker, Alabama, a base that was named for a traitor who took arms against the United States of America, led troops who killed Americans. It was renamed for Mike Novosel, a Medal of Honor recipient who, in his citation for the Medal of Honor, includes that he saved 29 American lives, to include hovering backwards in a helicopter towards an enemy bunker where a wounded American was laying and saved that person, including after being taken fire himself. I know a little something about what it takes to fly a helicopter when you've been hit by enemy fire. That was heroic. I'd rather be associated with Mike Novosel than a failed Confederate traitor. I don't know whether you are inexperienced or too incompetent, but I wonder when you will actually focus on our nation's warfighting mission. We know that California is just a deliberate, systematic, political, and dangerous campaign led by you. We should not be using our military to play cops against Americans. General Kane, as chairman, a key part of your job is to coordinate military planning across the joint force. Is the department currently incorporating into any military plans expanding the use of the reserve forces to include the National Guard or active duty troops to support domestic law enforcement, including in other locations in the United States?
Senator, we careful.
So no, General.
Well, it's not really a yes or no question, Madam Senator. We plan all kinds of different things.
I think it is a yes or no question.
I'm not aware of anything, but the reason why I'm answering is the tags may be looking at something that I'm not aware of.
What are you doing at your level? You're not aware of that happening at your level? Because we know that on his first day, President Trump directed U.S. Northern Command to revise its unified command plan to add new planning requirements to combat, and I quote, criminal activities. A series of follow-up executive orders continue to redirect DOD priorities to supporting domestic law enforcement, including one in April that tells DOD, and I quote, use national security assets for law and order. In other words, do law enforcement's job. I'd like to enter these executive orders into the record, Mr. Chairman.
Is there objection? Without objection, so ordered.
Secretary Hegseth, you say you are focused on warfighting and warriors. These are your words. Yet you are diverting untold DOD resources and attention to a fundamentally non-military mission of domestic policing. Across the country, we have qualified police officers who are trained for that mission. They know those streets better than the Marines you deploy to Los Angeles, who normally focus on the Indo-Pacific. And you recently approved 700 more troops in 3 other states to do admin and logistics works for ICE. You say all of this is valuable training, but I would much rather have our troops do tough, realistic training relevant to high-end combat. Instead of typing in spreadsheets for ICE, they should be conducting live fire maneuver exercises. Instead of patrolling American neighborhoods and standing in front of federal buildings, they should be rehearsing call for fire missions. We have local police who can stand in front of those federal buildings. And the list of distractions goes on. You are encouraging the DOD workforce to go work for DHS in increasing numbers. You're pulling the military away from facing foreign enemies who literally say things like death to America. And you're putting troops with weapons aimed at Americans. Mr. Secretary, let the military get back to its real job. Stop forcing them to do DHSs. And if you want to be the DHS secretary, maybe you can apply for that job when you're fired from this one due to your incompetence.
Requirement for serving our nation, either in uniform or a civilian in the department?
I'm incredibly proud, as are millions of Americans.
No. Not today, Hegseth. Yes or no?
Congressman, you know what a silly question that is.
It's silly enough to warrant a very straightforward answer. Yes or no?
We all support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
You know what?
Proud.
I'm not going to waste my time anymore. You're not worthy of my attention or my questions. You're an embarrassment to this country. You're unfit to lead. And there's been bipartisan members of Congress that have called for your resignation. You should just get the hell out and let somebody competently lead this department.
Mr. Chairman, do we not have any decorum in here?
Do you think political allegiance to Trump is a requirement for serving our nation, either in uniform?
Okay, I'm sorry. I absolutely loved that. Did you all see how they went in on him? Straight to his face. Okay? I absolutely loved every bit of it. Now let's go to this last clip and then we're out of here. I'll be back later. Okay, so that all been said, let me go to this clip. Now I'm going to use an overlay because I don't have permission to use this video. Okay, there we go.
Best minute and 45 seconds you'll ever see. And it's relevant now more than ever.
To please stop Zionizing us. Stop the Zionizing. Zionizing, it's a verb which means to gaslight someone with such shameless, narcissistic, psychopathic audacity that you deny reality to their faces while simultaneously playing the victim, engaging in endless circle debates that go nowhere and displaying a complete loss of empathy and basic humanity. Right? Remember, Pierce, why the first video went viral? Because I called Israel a narcissistic, psychopathic behavior, fucks you over, and then makes you think it's your fault. Because this is what Israel does. It didn't happen. And if it did, you're remembering it wrong. And if you're not, it's your fault because you're looking into my phone. Narcissists lived in their own made-up reality. They don't share your reality. They live in their own custom-made universe where facts are negotiable and truth is whatever serves them in the moment. And when you corner them, they throw tantrums, accusation, Hamas, anti-Semitism, full victimhood mood. And it's pointless to debate with them, right? Because take him, for example, and the likes of him. You show them a video, it didn't happen. You show them UN reports, these are lies. You mention international law, it's complicated. You get testimonies on the ground from doctors and nurses at Hamas propaganda. Yeah, we saw it with our own eyes. Your optic nerve is anti-Semitic. Like Israel is like Shaggy. We saw you won the hospital. It wasn't me. We saw you killed the children. It wasn't me. Dude, your war crimes are documented. Hamas propaganda. Also, it wasn't me. There is no point of debating gaslighters. We have 4K videos, satellite imagery, and your own soldiers posting on TikTok bragging about killing children. But of course, yeah, the entire planet is having a mass hallucination, right? This is like Israel has the same credibility as a Ponzi scheme, right?
Told y'all.
I absolutely love it. And his name, hold on, let me tell you all his name. He is something else. So that all being said, there is something else I wanted to show you all, but due to my eye bothering me so much, I'm going to go ahead and conclude the broadcast. I will be back later. And hold on, I was trying to get his name. The video seems to be frozen, darn it. Okay, Bassem Youssef. Bassem Youssef. That's his name, Bassem Youssef. Okay, so he said, Shaggy, it wasn't me. Your optic nerve is anti-Semitic. Okay, yeah, that's him. Thank you, beloved. And also, that's very interesting. And also, Nirvana, thank you for your contribution to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, we're about to be out of here. Listen, there is something I want to show you all later this evening that's absolutely, I'm going to do a reaction to this video, and it absolutely is going to prove what he just said. Everything that he just said, this video is going to prove it. You will see one of BB's people debating someone else, and hear and pay attention to how they gaslight and deflect, how they play the victim, and how they just say a bunch of hypocritical things like what's good for them isn't good for other people. We're going to get into it later on tonight. But until then, beloveds, I hope you enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember to keep the Most High first in your lives. Now, I'll probably be back live at about 7 o'clock this evening, okay? 7 o'clock this evening. So if you don't get your notifications, just come check the channel. All right, so until next time, beloveds, always remember to keep the Most High first in your lives. And with that all being said, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Yo, Pete Hegseth, this one's specially for you. You punk-ass rapist, bitch. Straight from Iran. Tattoo covered clown with that cafe ink on your arm. Think you a crusader? Nah, just a drunk infidel in a fake uniform. Chain to kill all Muslims. Wasted in a hotel lobby. Sexual assault settlement in Monterey. Blocked the door, took a phone, paid her off quiet, cause Me Too was on. Now you secretary? What a joke, bro. Cheated on wives, multiple affairs. Kids in the mix, family man? Hell no. Handsy with women at Fox, drunk on the job. Your own team say, yo, this dude toxic. Couldn't even guard Biden's inauguration. Your own military said, next. Book called American Crusade, dreaming holy war. But reality check. You just a failed vet, turned TV clown, slipping on your own mess. Trump picked you cause you kissed the ring. But wait, funny part ain't coming. The dude you sucking up for that secretary gig. Trump himself was Bill Clinton's top cocksucker, giving blue jobs back in the day. Real talk, you out here blowing for access, but he the original BJ queen. You thought our missiles max 2,000 kilometers? Cute, rookie mistake. We hitting the bow, worshiping Epstein Island crew, the ones who hurt the kids. Revenge for every American soul you and Trump's dirty crew oppressed and did. We taking payback for the girls you broke, the wives you broke, the Muslims you hate. Every victim screaming in the dark. Iran got you on the play. You threw everything at us, all your cards, all your might. We still operating on 10% power, laughing while you fight. We see everything, know every secret, every dirty Epstein link you hide. Where you least expected, in the shadows we ride, and no place to slide. This ain't full force, just a warm up, Persian flow with the rap. Pete, you done roasted raw. Iran sending this heat, feel the math. Drop the mic, infidel clown.